When I received a simple text about leftovers, I revealed a hidden surprise that shocked everyone. Emily trudged home after another exhausting shift at the hospital, her mind still buzzing with the chaos of the day. Just as she reached for the doorknob, her phone buzzed. A text from her sister pierced through the fatigue. "Want any leftovers from Mom's Sunday dinner?" The simple question tripped a wire in her memory, pulling her into a rush of laughter, family warmth, and the increasingly painful echoes of their father's unwavering beliefs. It all felt like a weight dropped into a still pond, sending ripples through her heart as she slid into her old car. Nostalgia enveloped her. The scent of sweat and antiseptic faded away, replaced by the comforting aroma of her mother's roast. Remembering glances exchanged across the dinner table, she felt a twinge of melancholy. Their father worked tirelessly, holding on to dreams that never quite fit, suffocated beneath financial strains. The memories swirled, a pattern of love and disillusionment. Navigating those childhood dreams felt just as insurmountable now, a simmering pressure beneath her skin, each day at the hospital demanding more than she felt capable of giving. Arriving at the familiar yellow house, she felt both comforted and saddened. Her mother greeted her, their conversation fleeting, all smiles but underlined with a chasm of unspoken emotions. After a few minutes, she excused herself and headed to the attic. Dust danced in the shafts of light as she stumbled upon a box amidst relics of her past. Curiosity tugged at her as she pried it open, revealing her father's notes and sketches, the brilliant invention he never had the chance to chase. Her heartbeat quickened, the unwelcome thought creeping in. Could this change her life? Could this slim box contain the means to lift them out of struggles? A voice in her head screamed she couldn't abandon it, that it was a piece of her father's legacy, his dreams packed firmly away. But another, louder voice warned of failure and ridicule. What did she have to offer? She felt wrapped in a tight embrace of fear as muddled thoughts raced through her. Would she dare attempt to revive something so profound? The weight of responsibility pressed down, twisting knots in her stomach. Additionally, the growing tension with her sister haunted her. The rift widened, rooted in values that clashed like opposing forces. Would her sister dismiss the importance of their father's aspirations for the allure of status? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emily could barely breathe. Each sketch ignited a spark of hope, but it flickered uncertainly against the dark backdrop of her reality. Just then, betrayal reared its ugly head at the hospital. A trusted colleague, the one she confided in, undermined her during their joint projects. The camaraderie they once had faded like the ink on her father's sketches. Her dreams felt teetering on a precipice, clouds of doubt growing denser. Should she pour effort into this invention, risking even more failure, while navigating a battle for credibility with those she thought were allies? As hope hung in the balance, the sound of a firm knock echoed through the house, stopping her heart for a moment. What now? Another layer of disruption threatened to spill over. Emily stood frozen, hands trembling, knowing the answers lurking behind that door could shatter her world or illuminate it, leaving her suspended in a whirlwind of anticipation and uncertainty. The knock reverberated in the silence, stirring a blend of dread and anticipation within Emily. She hesitated to move. Was it her sister seeking answers, or a visitor from her father's past, come to remind her of burdens she'd rather ignore? The uncertainty was maddening. Taking a deep breath, she stepped toward the door, each footfall a battle against the instincts that urged her to retreat. It was time to confront whatever or whoever awaited her. She grasped the doorknob and turned it slowly, revealing a figure she hadn't expected. David, an old college friend and an inventor, his eyes alight with enthusiasm. "Emily, I heard some news and thought I'd check in," he said, his voice cheerful but tinged with concern. He was a reminder of her ambitions before the weight of her responsibilities buried them. She stuttered, momentarily unprepared for his presence. "What news?" "Your dad's sketches. I know how they inspired you. The word is, there might be funding opportunity for projects aligned with their vision." I'd hate for them to go unseen, he replied, stepping inside, his energy filling the dim space should she embrace this chance, or shield herself from further disappointment. I'm not sure I'm the right person shouldering all of this, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. David's presence illuminated not just the room but also the flickering flame of determination within her. You have everything you need. The sketches, the memories, their sound foundations. Remember, your dreams matter too, he encouraged, leaning closer as if to connect through shared history. His words struck a chord, her heart racing at the thought of tapping into those buried aspirations. What if this was the nudge she needed, the chance to redeem her father's unfulfilled dream while daring to validate her own? Yet, the ever-present fear clawed back. David, I've been undermined at work. What if it happens here too? I can't risk it. He raised an eyebrow thoughtfully. Have you lost your faith in yourself? You're capable, Emily. And what about the invention? Wouldn't that be a shame to waste? With every question he labeled, she could feel her own defenses crumbling. Then a rush of inspiration mixed with trepidation filled the air, sending a rush of conflicting thoughts racing. Could she really take that step, to intertwine her identity with her father's legacy? I'll think about it, she finally said, defeated yet ignited by the prospect. But David wasn't done. No, Emily. The time for thinking is over. It's about action now. The opportunity won't wait for you to gather your thoughts. We need to do this together. Are you in? The weight of his challenge hung in the air, the fragility of her resolve on the line. Emily could feel the surge of determination swell within her, and amidst the uncertainty, a new sense of purpose began to take shape. Still, shadows of doubt lurked in the corners of her mind. As the evening unfolded, they discussed strategy, which quickly morphed into late-night brainstorming sessions that ignited conversations she hadn't had for years. But despite the growing excitement, the tension with her sister loomed large. Would she understand this new path? Or try to pull her back into the familiar safety of their father's worn expectations? It was clear that a confrontation was inevitable. Her sister wouldn't stand idly by while Emily chased the ghost of their father's dream. As the dawn lit the edges of her reality, Emily realized new decisions awaited her. Stepping into the light, she understood that each choice could fracture or heal, propel her forward or keep her shackled to the past. And it dawned on her. The moment was coming to confront her sister about this journey she was willing to embark on. Would there be support or opposition? She had to face that truth next. Could she unleash the power buried deep within her? Or would fear paralyze her once more? Emily sat cross-legged on the couch, her mind churning with a blend of anticipation and anxiety. The sketches David had shown her swirled in her thoughts, each stroke of graphite representing not only her father's unrealized dreams, but her own dormant aspirations as well. The light of the morning sun spilled over the room, casting long shadows that felt oddly reflective of her current inner struggle. She needed to gather her strength and face her sister, but the prospect of that conversation filled her with increasing dread. Days had passed since David's visit, yet the flicker of motivation he had ignited within her remained vivid. Each moment spent contemplating the sketches breathed life into old dreams, and she found herself tapping into a reservoir of creativity and enthusiasm she thought she had lost. But fear still held her captive. Her professional life had taught her that ambitious pursuits could lead to disappointment, and those lessons were hard-won from years of critique and skepticism. As she fidgeted and paced, her phone buzzed, interrupting her spiraling thoughts. It was a message from her sister Claire. "Can we talk? I heard from Mom you're planning something." A simple text, yet it felt loaded with implications. Emily took a deep breath, feeling the walls of resistance closing in. Confronting Claire was no small feat. Their relationship had become strained following their father's passing. Claire constantly leered into her choices, swift to outline her fears while Emily sought to delve into her own ambitions. The weight of familial expectations pressed down on her, and now, with David's encouragement echoing in her ears, she wrestled with the notion of pursuing her passion in the face of opposition. Why not just face it head-on? David's earlier words echoed in her mind. It was time to summon her courage. She tapped back, her fingers trembling as she wrote, "I'd love to talk. Can we meet later?" The response came almost immediately. "All right. Around 6? Instinct kicked in, pushing her heart rate up several notches. Come 6, she would step onto the battlefield of familial tension, where she would stake a claim not just for herself but for her father's legacy. She imagined Claire's tone, the skepticism laced in the air, but this time she vowed to fight back, to stand resolute. The hours crept by as she prepared for their meeting, mentally rehearsing crucial points she wanted to share. She reflected on how her father's vision had always been about innovation and courage, principles he had embodied. Perhaps it was time to channel that spirit into her own life, in a manner that was both responsible and daring. But what if Claire dismissed her dreams along with their father's? When the clock struck 6, Emily found herself staring into the mirror, maintaining focus. "I can do this," she whispered to her reflection, summoning inner strength as she readied herself to face her sister. The familiar creak of the door signaled Claire's arrival. Emily's stomach twisted, yet there was a flicker of resolve. As Claire stepped into the living room, arms crossed and brow furrowed, Emily felt the urge to dive in quickly before anxiety could take over. "Before you say anything, I need you to listen," Emily started, taking a bold step into the conversation. "I want to talk about our father's sketches and what they mean to me." But as she began to lay out her vision, the moment hung in the air like a taut string, ready to snap. Would her sister understand or dismiss her aspirations entirely? The tension between them charged the room, and Emily knew she was on the brink of something that would redefine both of their paths moving forward. The inevitable clash of beliefs swirled in the air, setting the stage for a confrontation that could alter everything. "Emily, you can't be serious," Claire interjected, skepticism dripping from her tone. The moment hung there, a quivering precipice between dreams and doubt. The urgent need to navigate this labyrinth of expectation was palpable, and Emily braced for impact, ready to fight for her future. Would her commitment to her father's legacy be enough to sway Claire, or would it push her further away? Emily's heart raced as Claire's words echoed in her ears. "You can't be serious." The skepticism dripped from her sister's tone like acid, carefully crafted to undermine the fragile hope Emily had mustered. It was an unwelcome reminder of the countless critiques that had shaped her reluctance to act on her ambitions. She fought to keep her voice steady, determined not to let doubt seep in. "I am serious," Emily asserted, gathering the fragments of confidence that David had sparked within her. "These sketches are so much more than just drawings to me. They represent the creative spirit our father had, the legacy that he wanted to leave behind." The tension coiled tighter, and Claire narrowed her gaze, arms crossed in defiance. "But what do you plan to do about it? You have a stable job, a life. Is throwing it all away for a dream really wise?" Stability. That word hung in the air between them, heavy with memories of their father's ambition thwarted by life's realities. Emily felt her courage quiver under the weight of Claire's disapproval. Yet, as she searched for a response, an unexpected clarity emerged. "It's not throwing my life away, Claire. It's about building it. I need to explore what these sketches represent, to honor his vision. It's about time I stopped letting fear dictate my choices." Claire's expression shifted, a challenge brewing behind her irritation. "And what if you fail? What if you end up just like him, chasing something no one appreciates? You risk everything, Emily." "That's the point, isn't it?" Emily countered, passion igniting within her. "Maybe it's time for us to redefine what success looks like. I refuse to let our father's dreams disappear because of fear. Yes, there's a risk, but isn't there also a chance? A chance to do something meaningful with our lives?" Their eyes locked, and for a moment, Claire's rigid posture softened. Emily sensed that beneath the simmering skepticism lay genuine concern. She took a step closer, searching for a connection. "What if we could do something with those sketches? Something that merges both our visions? You could help guide me through this. You could be a part of it." For the first time she saw a flicker of intrigue in Claire's eyes. It was a chance to change the conversation from confrontation to collaboration. But still the risks loomed large, and doubt threatened to creep back in. What if they committed to this and fell short? What if pursuing their father's dreams only drove them further apart? "I just don't want you to get hurt," Claire murmured, her tone softer, as the fight air slowly replaced by a seedling of vulnerability. "I know the thrill of dreams, but I also know the sting of failure." Emily's chest tightened at the truth in her sister's words. "So do I. But I want to learn to face that sting, to navigate through it rather than avoid it altogether." It felt as if the walls that had held them captive were slowly beginning to crumble. Maybe we can start small. Test the waters, Claire suggested hesitantly. Elizabeth's heart fluttered with cautious hope. Could they partner on this venture? Yes, she replied, her voice confident but tinged with uncertainty. If we work together, we can find something that honors Dad while allowing us to grow individually. A new atmosphere settled around them, one that hinted at potential rather than fear. They had a long way to go, but Emily felt a shift within her. The possibility of pursuing her dreams no longer felt like a reckless leap but rather a path toward something meaningful. Yet, as she gazed at her sister, a new realization struck her. Was this newfound team effort enough to truly bridge the rift that their father's death had left behind? In that moment of realization, Emily couldn't shake off the nagging thought. What unspoken truth still lay between them? The conversation had stirred more than just their father's legacy. It beckoned the hidden complexities of their relationship to the surface. As silence settled like a blanket over the room, both women pondered what lay ahead, unaware that this was only the beginning of a journey that would test the very fabric of their sisterhood. Would they succeed in mending their fractured bond? Or would they discover deeper fractures as they ventured into the unknown? Emily stood in front of her old desk, her sketches sprawled across the surface like a frantic map of dreams. Each stroke of charcoal rekindled memories, each faded line a whisper of their father's voice urging her to pursue what filled her with joy. As she set about organizing the sketches, her heart thrummed with anticipation and fear. Every effort to honor her father's legacy felt like stepping onto a tightrope stretched over an abyss of uncertainty. The following week passed in a blur of strategic planning and collaboration with Claire. Those initial conversations had opened a dialogue between them that hadn't existed for years. But it was fragile. Every decision came with the weight of their father's loss. A reminder that embarking on this path had the potential to either unite them or erase the fragile truce they had built. How about an art show? Claire proposed during one of their brainstorming sessions. Emily looked up, eyebrows raised in surprise. The suggestion felt ambitious yet terrifying. We could invite the local community. Share Dad's work in your sketches. It can be a tribute, a bridge back to him, but also for us. The thought filled Emily with a mix of excitement and dread. Would putting their father's memory on display invite scrutiny? Could they withstand the weight of expectation when failure loomed like a specter? These thoughts churned in her mind, a storm of doubts clouding her once clear vision. You really think people would care? Emily asked hesitantly. As soon as the words left her mouth, she regretted their vulnerability. A self-sabotaging echo of her past whispered through her thoughts, no, not good enough. Likely to fail. Claire leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms as she considered Emily's words. It doesn't matter if they care. This is about us. About honoring a legacy you and I can both connect to. It's about finding our voice. Emily felt a stirring within her, a flicker of determination ignited by Claire's assertion. The reality began to crystallize. This was precisely what she craved, an opportunity to reconcile with her past and explore her creative spirit without the chains of fear holding her back. As they delved deeper into planning, Emily discovered joys she hadn't anticipated, such as researching local galleries, connecting with other artists, and even designing flyers for the event. Each step was a lesson in collaboration. This was not just her pursuit, it became a shared journey toward healing. However, with newfound excitement came tension. As they pushed through creative differences, disagreements flared. Emily found herself clashing with Claire's practical mindset, which brushed against her more whimsical, idealistic approach. It doesn't have to be perfect, Claire. Emily snapped during one particularly heated argument, frustration bubbling over. It's about expression. I know that, but people will judge it. Not everything can be art for art's sake. It has to resonate, Claire shot back, her voice firm. The reality of their endeavors felt more daunting now that they faced their differences together. Emily's thoughts spiraled into uncertainty. Was she compromising her vision for the sake of practicality? Would the tension only serve to deepen the rift she desperately sought to heal? After a long night of heated exchanges, Emily found herself alone, staring at her sketches shadowed by doubt. Yet, in that darkness, clarity emerged. She needed to remember why they started this journey. It wasn't merely about aesthetics or opinions. It was about a legacy they both cherished. As she drifted toward sleep, A quiet resolve settled within her. She would find a way to bridge the gap between their visions. With the art show looming, she understood the next step wasn't just about presenting sketches, it was about embracing vulnerability, opening channels for honest communication, and tackling the fractures that haunted both their lives. But as the sun broke through the horizon, shining light on a new day, a notification pinged on Emily's phone. An invitation to a gallery opening from a rival artist, one who challenged her vision. The invitation hung in the air like a proclamation. The time had come to face not only her internal fears, but also the external forces vying against her dreams. What daring moves would she make next in the face of such an unexpected challenge? Emily's heart raced as her thumb hovered over the screen, the invitation blinking like a neon sign. Howard Lang, a well-known local artist whose work was as divisive as it was celebrated, was showcasing his latest collection. The timing felt cruel, almost deliberate, like a challenge sent directly from a positioning rival. She felt a swell of indignation. How could he put on this show with an ease she struggled to muster? Tension snagged at her throat, each breath heavier than the last. She realized this was more than a simple gallery opening, it was an opportunity for Emily to confront her art, her insecurities, and the constraints she had placed on herself. More importantly, it presented the first real moment since her father's passing to challenge her fears head-on. "Are you going?" Claire's voice jolted her back into the present. Emily had been so lost in thought she hadn't heard her sister enter the room. "I don't know, Claire. Feels uninviting. I've never had the focus of a scenario like this." Emily shifted her gaze, avoiding Claire's knowing eyes. "You won't know until you see it," Claire said, calm but resolute. "It's the perfect setting to gain perspective not just on his work, but on your own." The simple truth of Claire's words ignited a flicker of realization within Emily. This wasn't merely a confrontation with Howard. This was a chance to gather insights, to expand her artistic depth. She could observe how others reacted to Howard's work and remind herself that art was subjective, not universally owned. Confrontation wasn't solely reserved for the canvas, it was part of the artist's journey. Emily took a moment, inhaling the familiar scent of the charcoal on the nearby sketches, grounding her racing thoughts. A determination settled. She would attend, not just to face Howard, but to discover what her art truly meant in the broader spectrum. As the day approached, Emily found herself oscillating between excitement and anxiety. Each glance at her sketches was now laced with implications. What if the invitation was a sign of her inadequacies? What if Howard's success reaffirmed her fears? On the evening of the gallery opening, she donned her favorite attire, a soft jacket that had once belonged to her father, choosing to wear the memories that thrummed with promise rather than the weight of dread. The gallery burst to life around her, walls adorned colorfully with Howard's provocative pieces that stirred whispers in the air. Emily felt small amidst the raucous confidence and cacophony of voices, yet she stood tall. Studying Howard's art revealed the labor behind it, the raw emotions, the unresolved feelings, the way he used colors almost sacrilegiously. It stirred something inside her, a call to emotional authenticity she had nearly forgotten. As she compared her sketches to Howard's works, it became clear what she was missing: vulnerability. Each piece needed to breathe emotion, not just technique. It wasn't about impressing others. It was about finding a language with which to express her father's legacy. The realization flooded over her like a warm tide. And for the first time, the environment felt less like a confrontation and more like a proving ground. The more she adjusted her perspective, the more she recognized her own voice emerging, tinged with lessons learned from Howard's work. The evening progressed, and Emily found herself engaging in conversations, exchanging thoughts with strangers who genuinely appreciated art. Just then, amid a discussion about the nature of creative evolution, Howard sauntered near, his air unyielding yet oddly inviting. A path to confrontation opened, but would she seize the moment? "Emily," he greeted, with a hint of smug recognition that stoked a flicker of defiance within her chest. She looked up, heart racing. "I hear you're working on something special. Would love to see it someday." He had not prepared for a vulnerable answer, nor did she intend to give him one. Instead, she leaned into the surprise of the encounter, emboldened and ready to declare her presence in the artistic community. "I'm not just aspiring to be seen, Howard. I'm ready to create something that resonates," she boldly replied. Holding his gaze firmly as the words left her lips, she realized she had stepped onto a new path that blended fear and clarity, pushing herself further into the realm of professional growth. But the work had only just begun. What foundational move would she take next to solidify her artistic identity in this new world she was beginning to master? Emily left the gallery with a sense of exhilaration, the weight of Howard's presence still tingling in the air. Her heart had raced not just from the confrontation, but from the realization that she had begun to carve out her own space within the artistic community. The night had transformed into a moment of self-affirmation, stirring a concoction of emotions that propelled her forward as she meandered home. Her mind was alive with ideas, each more vivid than the last. The tender memories of her father flooded back, weaving seamlessly into her thoughts as she reflected on the importance of authenticity. She had long relegated her work to the shadows of other artists, burying her talent under the weight of comparison. Tonight had ignited a spark of rebellion against that narrative. Arriving home, she glanced at her studio. The sketches that once felt incomplete now seemed to beckon her to engage with them anew. The once dim light of inspiration glimmered like a lighthouse cutting through the mist. Stripping away layers of doubt, she approached her easel, her pulse syncing with the rhythm of her imagination. But the challenge lay ahead. The nagging thought that Howard's perceptions would linger, that he might judge her attempts with the same scrutiny she had given his work, wormed its way into her mind. A swift surge of determination cut through it. She needed to embrace that fear. It was time to create not just for validation, but to communicate something deeper, to encapsulate her emotions while paying homage to her father's influence. She began gathering her materials, the familiar textures grounding her intentions. Mixing pigments, she meticulously crafted a palette that resonated with the essence of her father's warmth. Each brushstroke was a whisper of her past, a declaration that her artistry could reflect both vulnerability and strength. Days turned into nights as she poured herself into the canvas. Each session was a venture into the psychological crevices of her mind, wrestling with remembrances and revelations. Occasionally, frustration retaliated, bringing resistance steeped in self-doubt. But with each battle she gained clarity. Freeing herself from the idea of perfection, every mark she made was a step into liberation. One afternoon, as the sunlight spilled across her studio, illuminating her sketches, Emily seized the moment for a breakthrough. A concept emerged, a series of pieces reflecting the delicate relationship between grief and resilience. She envisioned a combination of shadows and light, vibrant splashes representing joy intertwined with muted tones symbolizing loss. Her creative vision was not only a tribute to her father, it marked a milestone in her emerging identity as an artist, equally forged by pain and celebration. Yet it wasn't enough simply to create, she needed to connect. Encouraged to share her process, she approached local art collectives, hoping to invite feedback. Each new interaction was both exhilarating and terrifically daunting, but she pressed on, drawing strength from her initial meeting with Howard. In his presence, she found the motivation to confront her greatest fears: scrutiny, validation, and above all, her own sense of worth. At one of those gatherings, standing amidst a circle of budding artists, Emily stood on the precipice of vulnerability. "I want to share my work," she declared, her voice steady but her heart pounding, "because I believe it embodies a journey, a response to loss, and a celebration of resilience." The murmur surrounding her invigorated her spirit, even as she prepared for potential critique. This moment served as a reminder that growth necessitated discomfort. It felt exhilarating to expose her vulnerability while inviting responses that would shape her art further. As she eagerly awaited their reactions, Emily felt a shift within herself. No longer did she solely identify as an aspiring artist. She was becoming a woman who owned her voice, eager to synthesize her experiences into something with genuine depth. Yet, lingering questions teased her resilience. Would her work truly resonate? Would they understand her vision? What awaited her at the junction of artistic expression and public reception? The uncertainty loomed, but Emily deep down knew that these questions were vital to her evolution. Little did she realize that the path leading from those inquiries would lead her to an even more confronting encounter with Howard, one that could change everything for her. She paused, painting brush in hand, contemplating her next move. What if the next meeting was an opportunity not just to share her work but to face judgment, feedback, perhaps even inspiration from the very artist she sought to break free from? The moment of confrontation loomed larger, the tension tightening with exhilarating promise. Emily stood at her easel, the brush poised as she replayed the events of the previous gathering, the quiet buzz of conversations echoing in her mind like a haunting melody. As the sunlight streamed into the studio, illuminating her work, she felt an undeniable urgency to delve deeper into her craft. This was no longer just an artistic endeavor. It was a personal mission to redefine herself not just as an artist, but as a woman reclaiming her narrative. Days passed, filled with a relentless pursuit of expression. Each stroke on the canvas served as an intimate dialogue with herself, an exploration of her emotional landscape peppered with joy, confusion, grief, and moments of fierce determination. Outside, the world continued its unyielding march, but inside, Emily was on a quest for authenticity. The canvas transformed from a mere outlet into a sanctuary where she could confront her fears and voice her truths. One particularly late evening, exhausted but exhilarated, she peered at the canvas. Her latest piece was a whirlwind of chaos and calm, a symphony of colors that spoke to the tumult she felt inside. In that moment, clarity struck her like a bolt of lightning. This wasn't merely about loss. It was an exploration of identity itself, a vivid narrative of who she had been and who she would become. The realization was both electrifying and terrifying. But self-doubt crept back in with a sneaky persistence, whispering that she had opened too many doors too quickly. What if her work was self-indulgent? What if her exploration of grief alienated her audience? The looming voice of criticism began to overshadow her creative spirit. For long nights she wrestled with her thoughts, each insomnia-laden hour spent questioning her choices, her voice, her purpose. Then came the fateful text. A simple, innocuous message arrived on her phone with the familiar name Howard. "I have leftovers from yesterday. Want some?" The invitation sparked a mix of emotions that sent her heart racing. Part of her longed to embrace this unexpected connection, thrilled by the chance to interact with the very artist whose approval she yearned for, while another part of her shied away, fearing exposure once more to judgment. She grappled with her choices, pacing the studio as her mind oscillated between dread and exhilaration. The prospect of engaging with Howard again forced her to confront the very perceptions she had been attempting to shake off. Was she still trapped in the shadows of comparison, or was she ready to stand boldly in her light? As she considered her response, the weight of a decision took hold. Would she accept the invitation? After all, she was determined to break free from the confines of anxiety. Placing her phone down, she resolved to embrace the uncertainty that came with sharing not only her artistic journey but her dinner table, mixing the personal with the professional. The following day, she found herself preparing for the impromptu meeting, a blend of excitement and anxiety swirling within her. She selected a few of her most recent pieces to bring along a tangible expression of her vulnerability and growth. It was more than a meal. It was an opportunity to engage Howard not just as a peer, but as an ally in her unveiling journey. As she neared his studio, Emily could feel her pulse quickening with each step. With it came a sense of purpose. She was stepping forward, prepared not just to receive judgment, but to assert her presence, her identity. She breathed deeply, feeling the crisp air underscore the importance of what lay ahead. What kind of conversation awaited her? Would Howard see the metamorphosis she had undergone, or would he dismiss her efforts once more? The questions hung heavily in the air, infusing the moment with an intensity that left her both anxious and exhilarated. As she approached the door, she pressed her palm to it, aware that this moment could seal her fate as an artist in a way she couldn't yet comprehend. Little did they both know, this meeting would set into motion a profound transformation, one that would challenge everything she thought she knew about art, identity, and her place in that world. The moment of confrontation was about to unfold, and the stakes were higher than she had anticipated. As Emily entered Howard's studio, the ambience wrapped around her like a well-worn blanket, familiar yet foreign. She took a moment to absorb the space. Paintings hung from the walls, each one a testament to Howard's journey, a path she both admired and envied. The warm light flooded the room, blurring sharp edges, much like the mingling of her contrasting emotions. Howard appeared from the back room, a plate of leftovers balanced in one hand and a warm smile on his face. "Hey, I didn't think you'd actually come," he said, his voice resonating with genuine surprise. As he approached, Emily felt the weight of her insecurities bearing down on her. Could she match his expectations? Of course, she replied, the tremor in her voice betraying her confidence. Howard offered the plate, and she accepted it, clinging to the small gesture of connection. Thanks, she said, forcing herself to engage as he settled onto a stool, effortlessly casual. I brought some of my recent work. She gestured toward the pieces she had carefully transported, the edges of her portfolio barely containing her nervous energy. Let us see, he encouraged, his curiosity piqued. Emily unfolded the first canvas, an exploration of her grief that pulsed with raw, vivid hues. Howard leaned closer, studying the intricate layers, his expression shifting from casual intrigue to something more profound. She watched him, her breath catching as he processed what she had poured onto the fabric. I never knew you had this depth, he admitted quietly. This is different, really vibrant. His compliment both energized and unnerved her, igniting a spark of hope in her chest. For a brief moment, they fell into conversation, exchanging thoughts on art, creativity, and the haunting specter of self-doubt that haunted them both. Emily listened as Howard discussed challenges he'd faced, drawing parallels between their journeys, and she found herself opening up more than she had anticipated. I often feel like I'm not allowed to feel the things I do in my art, she confided. I worry that it's too much. Too much, Howard mused, his brow furrowed in contemplation. There's no such thing when it comes to art. The moment we limit ourselves for fear of judgment, we lose our voice altogether. His words echoed a truth she had been wrestling with in solitude, illuminating a path forward. It was as if he was shedding light on corners of her mind she had repressed. In that moment of clarity, she realized the effort to mask her vulnerability was more exhausting than simply embracing it. Emily's heart raced. She felt more alive in this exchange. The conversation evolved into an unexpected dialogue about authenticity, leading them deeper into their fears and aspirations. They were peeling back layers, revealing not just their perspectives on art, but a collective understanding of the creative struggle. As their night unfolded, her creative anxiety began to dissipate, replaced by a burgeoning clarity and confidence. The intricate dance of sharing her journey, her insecurities laid bare in this intimate moment, began to solidify her narrative. Emily could feel transformation unfolding, bits of herself reclaiming the space that had felt occupied by doubt for too long. Just as she started to relish this newfound connection, Howard's expression shifted. I think we might be overlooking something significant, he stated abruptly, a spark of recognition illuminating his features. What if your art is not just a reflection of your personal journey, but something that others need to hear? Emily's heart raced at the unspoken implications of his statement. What if this wasn't just a means of self-expression but a bridge to others, a way to ignite change or foster understanding? The mere thought raised the stakes in her artistic exploration. What would it mean to step not just into her identity but into the role of a catalyst for others? A swell of apprehension gripped her as excitement took hold. Her journey was widening, expanding in ways she could barely comprehend. As they both fell silent, a charged atmosphere settled between them. She gazed into Howard's eyes, searching for assurance but finding her own resolve beginning to crystallize. The implications of their discussion rang in her ears. This was not just a meeting between artists. This was an unveiling of a potential she had barely begun to fathom. What lay ahead was a storm of creativity waiting to be unleashed, but Emily knew no transformation comes without darker moments lurking ahead. Would she dare to embrace this broader vision of herself, knowing it would challenge every ounce of comfort she had found? As her thoughts spiraled into this newfound possibility, Emily sensed another crucial awakening on the horizon, one that could shatter her insecurities forever. Would she seize this chance to redefine not just her purpose, but impact the world around her? Emily stood before her easel, her heart racing as the previous night's revelations echoed in her mind. The conversation with Howard had ignited something profound within her, a calling to not only express her journey, but to traverse the uncharted territories of her creativity and share her story with the world. With renewed determination, she committed herself to a new project. This series would not simply focus on her father's legacy. It would document her evolution as an artist, encompassing layers of grief, resilience, and hope. This time the brushstrokes would carry whispers of her truth, transcending mere visual representation. She visualized each piece as an open thread inviting others to connect, reflect, and perhaps even heal alongside her. As she immersed herself in this project, the familiar tension of self-doubt crept in. What if her vulnerability was too raw? What if she revealed too much? Yet, each fearful whisper was countered by the echo of Howard's words: there was no such thing as too much in art. She would rather be bold and genuine than remain shackled to fear. Weeks passed, filled with late-night bursts of creativity and deep introspection. Emily transformed her studio into a sanctuary of expression, where emotions poured forth via paint and canvas. The shift felt palpable. This wasn't just artistry, it was catharsis. Her sketches evolved into vibrant pieces layered with textures, colors, and narratives. But as the days wore on, she sensed the culmination of her work approaching. It was time to share this body of art, the culmination of hardships, revelations, and familial ties, at an upcoming local art exhibition. The thought both thrilled and terrified her. Would the community resonate with her journey? In the weeks leading up to the exhibition, Emily couldn't escape the flickers of anxiety. Each day brought a new challenge, yet she was determined to use this moment as a platform to voice her story. Howard's encouragement was a constant reminder of the potential impact they could create together. When the day of the exhibition finally arrived, Emily stepped inside the gallery space, which buzzed with energy. She surveyed the walls adorned with her work, a tapestry woven from heartbreak and creativity, a celebration of the complexities surrounding loss. As guests began to arrive, she felt her heart race. Each interaction was a test of her newfound confidence. "I see so much emotion in these pieces," one woman remarked, her eyes glimmering. Emily smiled, feeling an unexpected warmth wash over her. This was happening. She was translating her narrative into tangible experiences for others. Throughout the evening, validating affirmations began pouring in. Each comment anchored her courage, bridging the gap between her internal struggles and external validation. Slowly, the layers of fear began to dissolve into the collective energy of the crowd. Then, amid a lively discussion, Howard appeared by her side. "Your work is incredible, Emily. It's not just art. It's a journey. You've captured something universal." The sincerity in his voice resonated deeply, igniting a surge of pride within her. The impact of those words solidified her realization she had broken through the insecurities and limitations that had once defined her creative endeavors. The exhibition wasn't just a success. It was a testament to her growth, the culmination of her sacrifice, and the reclamation of her voice. However, Emily didn't just want to bask in her victories. She wanted to honor her father and share this transformative experience. To her surprise, soon after, she found an opportunity to do just that. She was invited to speak at a community gathering about her journey as an artist, encouraging others to embrace their voices. As she stood at the podium, deep breaths grounding her, she recognized how far she had come. The girl who once felt defined by fear had morphed into a woman determined to inspire others through honesty. The words flowed from her heart, embracing vulnerability without hesitation. Looking into the faces of those listening intently, she understood the gravity of what she had accomplished. Emily had built a bridge not only with her sister, but also with those who had shared similar stories. In that moment, she grasped the true significance of her journey. It hit her that every step, every flicker of doubt, every sketch filled with trepidation had led her to a place of authenticity and empowerment. A self-actualization that grew through her father's enduring influence and the courage to redefine what success meant for her. As she left the stage that evening, she felt grounded in her identity, both as an artist and as a woman. This was her victory, a moment she had achieved through perseverance and creative exploration. From that day forward, Emily vowed not only to embrace her artistic journey, but also to continue encouraging those around her to find strength in expressing their vulnerabilities. She had conquered the shadows of her past, transforming them into guiding lights for the present. As she secured her place within the artistic community, she realized that this was just the beginning of a greater movement, one that would resonate beyond her personal narrative, fostering dialogue and connection among countless souls searching for their own voices. Reflecting on her growth, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. No longer just a caregiver in a hospital, she had fully stepped into the role of an artist, a voice for meaningful transformation. Each brushstroke would serve as a legacy not only for her father but also as a testament to her journey from fear to flourishing. Now you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that might just resonate with your journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your reactions and theories about Emily's inspiring conclusion. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative end. Don't wait even one more second to share these empowering stories.